Hello everyone, welcome into our latest live broadcast. Today it's the 26th of April, 2026. It's Sunday and I'm your host, CareyHolzman. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us today. We're going to be reviewing a mid-range mini PC from a company we've never so much as even heard of before called Firebat. And they have a number of other products, including a laptop and other mini PCs. And, as is the case with things, I go out and I'm surfing around Amazon trying to find around a $400 computer, mid-range mini PC that's not too expensive and it's not the budget line. And I'm just doing that in my time, trying to find things I want to review that I could potentially recommend. If I don't think I'm going to recommend it, I'm not going to buy it. So with your contributions and your support, we use that money to buy these products. And our thanks to everybody who supports us, because without them, today's video would not exist. With that out of the way, I also would be remiss if I didn't remind you about our Windows product keys and Office keys offered at a discount. That's through our friends over at VIP-URCDKEys. Below every video, there are the links and the coupon codes for these products. If you, well, let's just pull up an old video here. And for example, this video we did back in March. And if you scroll below the title, you'll see where it says more right there, and you click on that. And that's all the links to the products we reviewed in that video, anything we talked about in that video that has a link, and of course the Windows and Office product keys. So while you could go to the site and search for it, these links will take you directly there. So you can just get it done. That's what they're there for. And you'll see here where we've clicked on a Windows 11 Pro key. Hit the Buy Now button and it will require you to log in. It's free to create an account and it's in your benefit. In fact, you can't buy without one because they need to be able to send you a receipt and a product key securely. Now, when you get logged in, the next thing you can do is just go ahead and put the coupon code in there, which is my name, Carey, and get a 25% off discount that nobody else gets unless they know that coupon code. This is not a commission-based link, by the way, so whether or not you use the coupon code or you don't, I'm good with it. The first option you have to pay is PayPal. That's critical and a requirement if I'm going to promote license keys. So PayPal, of course, Visa, MasterCard, Google Pay, etc. And then hit the Buy Now or Pay Now button and then just follow the on-screen prompts and you'll get an email with instructions on how to download the product from Microsoft, unless you already have it, and then your product key. They have 6 months of free support, so if you have any issues or questions, they're there to help you. And you have peace of mind. No one's going to rip you off. It's not a scam. We're living in a world now where you just don't know anymore. You don't know as a seller if the buyer's using a stolen credit card, if they're using counterfeit money. You don't know if the seller is selling you something stolen or if they're selling you, nothing, and you end up getting nothing and there's nothing you can do about it. So one of the reasons I require PayPal is for the peace of mind. Also for the expediency of international transactions, which a lot of credit card companies are suspicious of if you're not normally making purchases outside of your home country, because the country that we're dealing with here as is with most of these discounted license keys outside of the United States. And some people, if they use a regular credit card, and this is the first time you made a purchase out of Hong Kong and you live in America and the credit card is declined, people think, oh, that must be a scam site. No, that's your credit card company going, he's never made a purchase in Hong Kong before. This looks suspicious. All you do is call them and say, hey, I'm trying to make a purchase. And they're like, oh, we just want to make sure that was you because you don't normally do that. PayPal never does that. PayPal deals with international transactions all the time. You just click. And I want to get things done. I have things to do. I have customers waiting, right? So I just want to buy the product key. I don't want to wonder if it's going to work. And I want to wait whenever they end up sending me the product key. When you order from VIP-URCDKEys, you'll get your key in like 2 minutes or less. It's fast. It doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. It doesn't matter. 24/7, it's about 2 minutes on average. And if there's any problems, you reach out to their support. And if there's still any problems, you reach out to me personally. I want to know about it. I take this very seriously. And I can't afford to have stolen product keys or a company that won't support me if there's a problem, because that all looks like it's me doing it to my customer from my customer's perspective. And they're putting a lot of trust and they're putting their confidence in me. I'm not just going to throw that away to save a few dollars. So when I make this recommendation, I don't do so lightly. So whenever you need a product key and you don't want to mess around with it, you want to get it done and move on with life, I guarantee you those keys work. You're set up, you're good to go. And if you have a different experience, they should 100% of the time make it right. And if they don't, then you let me know about it. All right. Well, you know, seriously, I take this. This is not a joke. Ripping people off, stealing from people, scamming from people. I have zero tolerance for that. And if I find out any company, whether we feature it on a review or we've got it in our video notes, if I find out they are doing that, we are going to make a dedicated video to shame them and make you aware to stay away from those companies. And I don't want to make those kind of videos. So I try my best. If I see red flags right away, I won't even bring the product on. So with that out of the way, I did a little research on Firebat to see who the heck they are, where do they came from. And I'm not finding a whole lot of information other than there is a history of YouTube reviews and previous products where they're not like this brand new company. They are newer than others, okay? But you know, they're not the first. And I'm intrigued because what we're going to look at today, again, I set a $400 price budget. I think $400 for a machine with RAM and storage that is a mid-range CPU. So Ryzen 5 or 7, Intel i5, or Ultra 5, something like that. At $400 with RAM and with storage, and without RAM and storage, $200. That's my logic on this right now with the way RAM and storage prices have been going. So with that out of the way, let me show you what we're looking at today, which is this box here that's still shrink wrapped. And unfortunately, look, I can't even tell you how frustrating this is for me, but they don't sell this anymore. We literally just got it last week. Was it last week or a week and a half ago? And it's not available for sale anymore. Now, if that were the case when I was shopping around, it would have never been available for me to purchase. They have instead replaced it with an identical model that's Ryzen AMD powered instead of Intel. So here's what I want to show you. Let's go to the Firebat website first. So let me bring that up. And this is maddening. This is absolutely maddening. But I have no control over it, and it's just the way the chips fell, right? This is what happens when we buy things. We have no idea if we're just buying the last one or there's like 3 left. But my intention here is to show you things to consider buying. If you're interested in around a $400 mid-range computer with RAM and storage already installed, turnkey solution, take it out of the box, it's already got Windows, plug it in. Is it worth $400? So we get it, and before we have a chance to review it, it's already unavailable. So when you look at the website for Firebat, for the F2, F like Frank and the number 2, that's the model we're looking at today. And what it pulls up is this link right here. There we go. This is Firebat's website, firebatpc.com. And this is what we purchased. It says here, buy on Amazon, right? Firebat F2. It's a Core i5-14450HX, which is similar to what the Ace Magic M1, I think. And I think that was like $500. So this one's like $100 cheaper if I'm remembering correctly. And for some reason, we're getting a lot of Russian over here. I don't know why. But the bottom line is this computer looks really good to me. And the price and the number of USB ports, everything looks like a good solid deal at $400. But when you click to buy it now or buy on Amazon link, guess what? It's not there anymore. It's gone. So the closest thing that we can find takes us here on Amazon to basically the same computer, but instead of an Intel, it's a Ryzen 7640HS. It's got 2.5 gig LAN instead of 1 gig, and it has USB 4. In many ways, this is a better machine. It's not like they just changed the CPU out, but the case looks identical. It does look like it's just the internal components they've switched over. And this is the price we paid for the Intel one we're reviewing today. And down here it does say there's 19 left in stock. So, you know, what happens when the 19 of these are sold? Then that Amazon page is going to be gone. What, they're not making anymore? I have no idea. I've never seen this brand before. But that's what we're looking at today. And again, just for comparison's sake, let's go back to the Firebat page. This should be 1 gig networking, not 2.5, if I'm remembering correctly. It's DDR4. Is this DDR4 or 5? This is DDR5. So this is a better machine for $400. If I was given a choice to buy these, I would still pick the Intel, only because my clients that I sell computers to are business clients. And my business clients unanimously, they don't know each other, by the way, they just unanimously do not want AMD computers. They've had very good luck with Intel, and they don't want to rock the boat. So I suppose the difference is where we have the F2, this is called the wait a minute. Yeah, this is the F1. So they're not even, I appreciate that they didn't name it the same thing, because there are companies that do that. But when we paid $399 for this, and then it's not available, but then I see it's available here, look at the price they want. Look at the price. That ain't right. That's almost twice what we paid. So yeah, that's a little weird, isn't it? I don't understand. So in any event, I'm glad to see they have a website, right? Because we've dealt with some small manufacturers. Even Beelink, their site doesn't, the support part of their website doesn't work, and hasn't worked for about 6 months that I'm aware of. Maybe could be a year. I was only made aware of it about 6 months ago, and they've not fixed it. I don't think they're going to. So they're already a step ahead of Beelink right now as far as standing behind their product. Today, right now, as of the day I'm making this video, if I have a choice between Firebat or Beelink, just based on the information online, Firebat has more support, more contact information, and all of their links appear to work, except when you try and buy this. That link's not working, and there's no explanation. There's just nothing there. So, but on the other hand, it hasn't been 6 months, right? It's only been about a week and a half since we bought this. So, you know, maybe it takes them a little bit of time to, you know, either replenish the stock or remove the link. I don't know, but I'm sure I hope they'll do something. Let me say hello to everybody joining us, hanging out in the chat room today. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Eugene Eldago and Montana, Mike Gamer and Jonathan Fells, John Williams and Sean Skinner say hello, as does Jimmy Gray, and I guess I need my glasses. David Graham says hello. I'm doing pretty good without him. And I also see Rick Lakes and David Herzog join us, along with Mark Gaines and Jim Kenny, Edward Bass, Stephen DeToit, Dazzle555, and Phil Stodd, along with Bike Man and Andy W6AD, all saying hello in our chat room. Xander Vanderhoven says hello to everybody in our chat, along with John Rogers. Welcome in, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. And hopefully we got a doozy. On the other hand, maybe not. Nothing worse than showcasing something we're in love with and then find out you can't buy it. Let's hope it's temporarily on the stock. I don't know. It's very suspicious. This is our first impression, and that right there is a little worrisome. But be that as it may, we do verify that it exists. We have it in our hands. It's not just an online site that's there one day and gone the next. We have it. So they definitely made these. Let's hope they'll be making some more. Or maybe they'll just restock Amazon. If they still have them available for sale on their main site, that means they still have inventory. It's just Amazon doesn't have them. Let's do our unboxing and see what's in here. Move some space, move some things and make some space. Okay, unboxing the Firebat F2 Mini PC. Specs and information right there. Documentation. There is the elusive Mini PC. Just as pictured. And then back to the box here. Let's see, what else do we have? There are little holes, so you're like, how am I supposed to get these boxes out of here? There's a little hole, just like a 12-pack cans of soda have a handhold, but you have to punch through the cardboard. You can see the place to put a finger and then lift that box out. I don't want you to work any harder than you have to. This is heavy. What's in here? Visa bracket, HDMI cable. We have a cloverleaf style, like laptop power adapter style power cable that will go into the power brick. And then these are the screws to attach the Visa mount to the back of the PC. And then the little brass screws are for attaching the Visa bracket then onto, well, I guess it's the other way around, isn't it? I'm not sure now. Sometimes the Visa bracket attaches to the back of the monitor, let's say, or other times it attaches to the back of the PC, and then the other screws will be used to lock it in and remove it without having to use any screws. You just lift it up like hanging a picture on a wall. That's what these screws are for. And I don't use a Visa bracket, I never have, but it's nice at this price point that they're including it. Finally, in this box right here, once again, that's that little cardboard. If you have trouble getting it out, you stick your finger in there. This should be our big power brick. Just how big, I don't know. I don't know why I even said the word big. Oh, it's not bad at all. And this one, hold on, I gotta get some reading glasses out because the font on this, the pitch size is really small. This is 120 watts. Now this says DVE. DVE is the company that makes power bricks. A lot of the mini PC manufacturers use DVE, and it's very easy to get these mixed up. And if you plug the wrong power brick into the wrong thing, you might have a clock radio this plugs into. It'll just toast it. You'll just get smoke coming out of your clock radio. So it's very important that you label this. I almost don't have words for it at this point now. It's such a common problem, and yet it remains ignored by most mini PC manufacturers. Now, the big system integrators like Dell and HP, they put their name on the brick, so you know where it goes. And you know where it goes today because you just took it out of the box. But in 2 years, when you're moving and you're, maybe even redecorating, and then you move things around, or you're moving location, and you end up, packing this in one box and packing that in another, or packing a bunch of electronic items together, and you don't know what this goes to anymore. The way to tell isn't if the plug fits, because you could just totally smoke your brand new computer. The way you can avoid that is you can grab a label maker and put Firebat on it, Firebat F2 if you've got multiple Firebats, or grab a Sharpie marker. Since this is black, Sharpie makes their markers in silver. It's an indelible permanent ink marker with a felt tip on it, and just write Firebat. Even if your writing is ugly, who cares? This sits in a corner on the floor somewhere. No one's ever going to see it. But at least it will prevent you from suffering a disaster when you're plugging and guessing and see if smoke comes out. So one of the things I do right away is I label these. I got a lot of electronic devices in this house, And the last thing I want to worry about is which power adapter goes to which item, because then I got to study the voltage on this versus every power adapter, the polarity, and the wattage or amperage. No, thank you. I just want to plug it in and get back to life, you know, especially if I'm unpacking after a move or putting things back after redesigning the room or something. I just want it back. I don't want to sit there and have to do a bunch of research to try and figure out which one of my plug-in devices uses this, because a lot of them may even use one made by the same company, but with different voltages, wattages, and even possibly reverse polarities where the positive's on the outside. It's happened. So that's why I'm such a stickler about it. That's why I'm so serious about it. I never want it to happen again. And I don't want it to ever happen to you to begin with. No, I don't like my writing. It'll make it look ugly. Yeah, well then just set it on fire then. Is that better? Just melt it. There, problem solved either way. All right, so let me get some of this out of the way here so we have some room to work, and let's plug this in and turn it on. So we'll start with the power adapter. I need an HDMI cable. We are not plugging this into the internet yet. We're going to turn it on, make sure everything boots up right, go through our Windows setup. Once we get to the desktop of Windows, then and only then, we plug in our internet connection and we can check for updates and updated drivers and things like that. Once all that's done, and if everything is passing and looking good, then we can start adding printers and putting our software on it in that order. Okay, let's go ahead and HDMI there. I'm going to need a keyboard and a mouse, which I have over here. And I'll just plug this in anywhere. Just go right up here. Why not? Here's our USB Type-C up there, but I don't believe that's USB 4. That's just, I'm sure, USB 3. We can look back at the product page at Firebat. I'm sure they identify that. But that's why I say I think maybe the AMD version of this is better for the same price that it's USB 4. But if you don't have anything USB 4, and you know, are you ever? Maybe you never will. It's hard to say. Let's grab power cable right here. I'll just use my own power cable rather than go through the untangling or the wire tie and everything else. Also, this is a much longer power cable, so I can leave this tied up, and then I don't have to worry about everything getting pulled off the table. And then, let's see, keyboard and mouse I got plugged in. HDMI, power. I feel like I'm forgetting something. We're not plugging the network in. I must be out of practice because something still feels like it's missing and my mind has gone blank. So we'll roll with it. Let's turn it on and see what happens. First thing I want to make sure is I get a power light. Yeah, little blue light came on. I don't know if this studio lights can pick that up. And then let's switch over to this input. And let's see how long it takes to boot here. Oh, it's already starting to boot. That was quick. And we'll go, let's see, full screen over here. So here's our very first boot up out of the box, live, unscripted, and unrehearsed. And we should be going through just a standard out-of-box experience here. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see us going to a desktop. That would be a big red flag. It needs to take us through a setup, and that's exactly what it's doing right now. So English United States, yes, that's what I want to do. United States is my region. United States is the keyboard layout, no secondary keyboard layout. I'll say I don't have internet right now because I don't want to delay our install or possibly, you know, have a problem and then I don't know if it's the PC or the update. So for that reason, we do not go online, wired or wireless, until we get to the desktop for the first time. Username will be user, password will be empty, and location settings will be left. Oh, didn't even ask for that, did it? Ooh, Oh, I don't like that. Now look, we can go back into settings in the control panel settings, and we can change those privacy settings, but it bypassed them. So that means Firebat is using an install of Windows where they have bypassed the privacy settings. That is a little disconcerting. I don't know why they would have done that. But again, it doesn't necessarily justify a complete reinstall of Windows. However, you might want to do that anyway. If they made that change, what other changes did they make potentially that we haven't discovered yet? So I'm assuming they haven't really changed that much. That's all I've noticed. You're not going to get any bloatware. You're not going to get any viruses or malware. But again, if you just blow it out and start over again, you might just want to do that. It depends on your personality, right? Otherwise, if you just take it out of the box and start using it like we're doing here, I'm sure you'll be just fine. Unless we find something else throughout this review, and I don't expect we will. There's nothing, I'm going to guess, really wrong with this. Oh, this is interesting. We have Firebat wallpaper. So they've made some modifications to this installer. And look, as far as I can tell, they're all on the up and up. However, if you want a bone stock Windows 11 install, you're going to need to install it yourself. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But first, let's see what version of Windows we've got. Is it Home or Pro? Is it 24, 25H2? Let's go to System, and let's verify what we've got. Yeah, that's our CPU. That's our RAM. Windows 11 Pro, 24H2. So we're going to be missing some updates, and that's normal. Let's take a look in the Device Manager. So right-click on the Start menu, go to Device Manager here, and then we'll look under... I got to get my glasses back on here. Network adapters. And Realtek makes the wireless, and Realtek makes the wired. Well, that keeps things simple, doesn't it? Now, one of the ways a manufacturer will modify the Windows installer is to include all the drivers. So that's what you want, and they did exactly that. Everything looks good here. So let's close and close. Let me change my resolution, display settings, down to 1920 by 1080 because this is killing my eyes. There we go. Keep those changes. Whoops, need to do that. Now what I want to do is go back over to camera 1 for just a moment here. Now we can plug in the internet, or we can attach to the Wi-Fi. Now, not before. Everything is going along just like it's supposed to. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to verify. So let me grab my Ethernet cable, which, hold on a second, I'm standing on it. There we go. And then we'll just plug this in right back here. And then if you watch that lower right corner, you should see the little flashing down by the clock as it's communicating with the router. And then it'll go solid once the communication is successful. Once we're there, then we can go to the Start button and go to Windows Update and start doing the missing updates. And while we're doing that, I can turn some options on and make some changes. I don't have to just do one thing at a time. We can multitask. And these are just my own personal preference settings I like to modify. And this would be the time to do that. I also want to check our power settings because I don't want the screen to go to sleep on us while we're live. It's kind of embarrassing and confusing. What just happened? So we'll change that to 3 hours. And a computer that doesn't have batteries doesn't need to ever go to sleep. Sleep mode is a battery saving mode. And if you don't have batteries, I don't know why in the world you'd be what you're thinking if you turn that on, because it'll always cause a tech support call eventually. If it's not doing it, everything's working for you, leave it alone. But I'm telling you, you will end up having a problem that is caused by the sleep mode. And I wish that that option was not available unless your computer had a battery in it. But it is what it is. And if you want to turn that on and and say, I don't know what I'm talking about, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. Now, here we've got a list of updates coming in right now. And let me just check our advanced options to see if any optional updates. Nope, we're still 0. That's good. And so while this installs, let me bring camera 1 back up and put it in a corner here. By the way, this machine, I can't even hear it. It's 100% silent so far. I feel some heat coming out of the back, but that's what you're supposed to feel. That's the heat sink and the fan running on top of the CPU that on this unit are on top, which means to access the internals on this, we'll have to get in from the bottom. And we'll take a look at that here before too long, once we're done with this. Let me put myself in the corner. Let's go, let's see, down like that. And we'll keep an eye on things, and we will repeat this as necessary. I think after this round of updates, when we reboot and check again, I think it'll offer us 25H2 at that point. In the meantime, if you have any questions for me, this would be the time to ask. Well, this is the great thing about doing this live, is we get a nice little break from the review to have community time where we get to talk to each other. Most content creators don't talk to their communities. This channel is mostly community, and then review would be secondary to that. So if you're wondering why my videos run longer than most, it's because I let people talk to me. If I prevented people from talking to me, I could probably shorten these videos up a lot. And it's so disrespectful, in my opinion, that nobody cares what anybody else but them has to say, that they get irritated. Why are your videos so long? Well, why do you just dismiss the information and the questions that's being offered in the chat room that we're acknowledging and we're taking time for? You think that's completely worthless? You think the whole community, everybody but you, isn't worth listening to? So that's why I delete those comments. I'm like, this person doesn't belong here. They're looking at gold and complaining it's too heavy. You know what? Leave it for other people. Just go away. It's so weird. The internet is just weird. But we'd love to have more community members, you know, like-minded individuals that want to talk to each other and talk with me while we're live. I don't know how anybody could see that as a negative thing, but they're out there, believe me. And if you're not one of them and you would rather be one of us, you're always welcome to join us. Just be kind, be a nice person, say hello, and watch where it goes. And let me know how many other YouTube channels you're aware of where the content creator gets this involved with their audience. It's very, very rare. That's why I do it. If this becomes the new norm on YouTube in the future, I probably won't do it anymore. We'll do something else. But that's the whole concept that drives my motivation to make these videos, is to make videos I wish somebody was making, because those are the videos I want to see. I don't want to be ignored. If I'm in a chat room and I say hello and have nobody acknowledge my existence because I'm not in their little clique, even if I like the content, if I'm being ignored, I'll switch away and watch something else. We don't do that to people here. You come in here and you're nice, and you say hello, you're going to get a hello back. And that just leads to more kindness and information exchange, and it's just a wonderful community. And we're losing our sense of community with social media. Everybody's anonymous, and everybody wants to think that they can get away with anything they want to do without being held accountable for it. And I won't participate in that. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong, and I think people that behave that way should be ashamed of themselves. But that's their problem. My problem is, you know, keeping them out of here. So, and it's okay. You don't have to use a real name or anything. So long as you're nice, it's not really a problem. But it's a strange request to have to make. You think that would be the default setting in a human being? Got to go back to the manufacturer on that one. That's a problem with the manufacturer, for sure. The product probably just wasn't made well. So that's, you got to blame not the product, blame the people who made it. They're the ones at fault. So anyway, let's see, back over to the chat room. What do we got? A little bit of information from HP Carnis that says the i5-14450HX is mobile. All mini PCs, with few exceptions, are all based on mobile processors. The CPU has 6 performance cores, 4 efficient cores, 20 meg Intel Smart Cache. So here's the thing though, copying and pasting off the manufacturer's website I just showed you, I don't understand why people do that. Like, why would you spoon feed people in our chat room the information I've already provided that if they wanted it, like I've already shown you all of that information right first thing we did in the video. And then what you did is you just copied it and pasted it, or, you know, replicated that same information into the chat room. And I'm wondering, am I even needed? Can I just shut the whole channel down now because somebody else is going to read bedtime stories to you instead of just letting you say, here's the information if you want it? For anybody who's too lazy to click the link, it's nice to know there's other people in the community that will copy and paste specific individual parts that seem random. I don't know if somebody asked about the CPU, but that's just strange to me that no information has been withheld. It's all been there. And just to repeat the same information in the chat room feels a little condescending to me, but I think it was intended as kindness, but it's just weird. If you repeat what I've already said, or if you repeat what I've already shown you resources to, and you're repeating it in the same place minutes after I did it, I don't understand what you're thinking, but okay. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just like, that's kind of weird. Frankie B says, I can't wait to see what happens when you receive the MAB7. So I think what Frankie's talking about is an NPB, not an NAB, not an MAB, but an NPB7. I don't think there ever was an NAB7, and I don't know what MAB is, but that might be a typo. I don't know until I get it what Frankie is sending me because he's not given me the correct name once. That's okay. I know they're kind of nonsensical, but we'll wait and see what we've got. We're expecting that on Tuesday, and Frankie's got a problem with this minis forum. I believe it's an NPB7, and we're going to diagnose that live. But I think what we're going to do, if in fact it arrives on time on Tuesday, we'll make that video members only Wednesday, only because I want to make sure there's nothing on Frankie's computer that we end up showing publicly when we get to the desktop, right? I don't want to expose any personal information because we shoot live. But at the same time, you know, I know we trust our community here, which Frankie, of course, is a member of, and all of our friends there in green. And afterwards, if everything's cool, then I'll post it publicly. So the benefits of membership. And if there is information that was exposed that I'm not comfortable with, I will edit it and then republish it as a public video. Because the machine won't boot, that means Frankie never had any opportunity to clear anything out that he may not want exposed publicly. Could be private financial information, or, you know, for all I know, he's got a picture of his driver's license on there. I don't know. And I don't want to find out on a live video publicly. But with the members, I feel like there's no risk. The members aren't going to do anything to each other. So Wednesday, that's the plan, Frankie. Frankie says NAB7. I don't think there is such a thing as an NAB7. I don't think that there's an NAB9. Did they make an NAB7? I don't know. Let's see. It doesn't sound right. Let me do a quick search. Minis Forum NAB7. No. They made an NAB6. Well, wait a minute. It does show an NAB7. Hold on. Maybe that is what you have. Well, here's the thing. If I go to my YouTube channel, then I should have reviewed that, right? And I do a search for CareyHolzman NAB7. I got nothing. So it wouldn't make any sense unless you didn't get it from me. because we don't have a review of such a model. I don't know what Frankie's got. He might be 100% correct, and it is an NAV7. But then where's my review? Because if I don't have a review of it, how did he get it? Something's missing. So we'll figure that out. That's the fun part of my job sometimes, is just trying to figure out what the heck am I going to be working on. That's why sometimes we need the machine in front of us so we can identify it correctly, as well as look for anything that might be obvious to me that the end user is looking right at and doesn't even notice it. So hopefully it's something simple, but if not, we're going to take care of Frankie. Frankie's always taking care of us. And I'm looking forward to working on it. I'm really happy that Frankie is sending it in, because he lives on the other side of the country. So just the time going back and forth in the mail, he's going to be without this computer for a week minimum. But we'll get the content. Frankie says it might be in your archive. It should have pulled up. We'll find out. We'll find out. We can speculate all day. I'll find out for sure. Tuesday, if it arrives on time, we'll know exactly what it is. We'll verify if it's an NAV7. And then I can figure out, if it is an NAV7, where the heck is my review? What happened to it? That's really bizarre. But I think there was an NPB7 that we did. And that's what if I had to guess, I think it's an NPB7. But it's your machine. You probably know better than I do. So I can't even get started early on this because I don't even know precisely which model it is. That's the joy of my job. But we'll find out live on Wednesday together. I'm not going to do any work on it off camera, so the members will see everything at the same time that I see it. And the first thing we need to do is duplicate the symptom that Frankie describes, and hopefully that's what happens. Nothing worse than plugging it in and everything works great. Then that means it went on a round trip ride around the country for no reason at all. And it also leaves me to wonder, will it happen again? So I expect it's going to exhibit the same symptom Frankie describes, and we will find a reason for that. And then depending on that outcome, we either get it fixed or we upgrade Frankie to something better than that, update it. So either way, Frankie will get taken care of, and Frankie will have some say in that as well, of course. I won't make the decision for him. Once we've achieved the knowledge we need to know how to move forward, then the information's provided, and the customer, as it were, can decide how they want to proceed. And we're happy to do whatever he wants to do. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Mike Gamer joins us and says hello, along with John Lewis from Brazil. Shane Perkins joining us, and Bikeman says, yes, I remember to label adapters, as years ago I pulled a hub out from my closet for the network, and I was like, I think this is the power adapter that goes with it. As it was in the box near it, I was wrong, and it went boom. Yeah, that sucks, doesn't it? All because you didn't think to write down the name, because it was brand new and it never occurred to you there may come a day where I separate these two items from each other to put it away for whatever reason. And it's a tale as old as the adapter. It's been going on for years. The only difference is a $20 clock radio or a $20 hub isn't that big of a loss to a $400 computer. Mark Leibowitz says hello from Chicago. Welcome into Mark, a fellow computer tech working out of the Chicago area. Mad Torian joins us and says hello. "2009 Newman says, what kind of keyboard and mouse is that? They're made by a company called Gravistar. Grava like gravity, and star like in the universe there are stars. Grava, not grava, grava, like gravity, star, grava star. And if you search for that on Amazon or here on YouTube, you'll find reviews. Shane Perkins says Amazon listing says NAB7, but link says NPB7. That cleared it all up. Thanks. We'll see what it is. We'll have it in our hands, and then there's no need to speculate or guess. It won't change what's arriving. It won't get here any sooner, and we can't start or be any more prepared than we are now until we have it in our hands, identify it, and replicate the symptom. So we got to do all that first. Anything thinking beyond that, you're so far ahead, you're not even potentially ending up in the same destination we were going. You're like, hey guys, I heard you were going to the store, so I went ahead and got a head start. I'm already here. Which store are you at? The one across town. Yeah, we were going to the run around the corner, so I don't know what you were thinking. We're not going all the way over there. Oh, I thought that was the one you were going to, and I thought I'd just save you some time. No, you just cost us more time because now we have to wait for you to come back, and we would have already been at the store and back again if you didn't try and second guess and jump ahead. So for those reasons, we'll wait till we have it. But feel free if you're having fun with it, you want to place your bets. We'll see what it is on Wednesday. But yes, you know, really, we've got 5 other mini PCs to review. We have Frankie's computer that's coming in for repair. And we have some items for review coming in, but no other repairs. So I very much am looking forward to sort of mixing up the reviews with a little repair. And I love that. I live for that. Are you kidding me? It's like a gift. So thank you, Frankie. Now, I also wanted to mention a lot of the other machines that we're going to review are less than $400, but are bare bones, meaning we have to put our own RAM and storage into them. And I'm just luckily, you know, bought some RAM when it was on sale, and it's been sitting on a shelf for about 2 years, never been opened. And I thought, what a great excuse to use it. I'll just order the machines bare bones. And then many of you have RAM laying around too, or could potentially take RAM out of a current system and move it along with your storage. And you can also save money that way right now in 2026 when times are tough for RAM and storage and GPUs. We'll look back on it just like we do the pandemic. Remember how difficult it was to get toilet paper? Not a problem today, right? Well, this is that all over again, but with RAM and storage. So just deal with it. So what? It's not just you, it's all of us. It wasn't just you having trouble getting toilet paper during the pandemic. All of us did. And we all got through it. And now we all don't have that problem anymore. As much as you want, go to the store and buy it. Hoard up all the toilet paper you want now. Nobody cares. We're going to get there, again, with SSD and storage in the future. I don't know, just like the pandemic. I don't know when the toilet paper's coming back in stock. But trust me, it's coming. Just relax, make do, make some sacrifices, do a little rationing. You'll be okay. So you don't have to buy a computer right now. Whatever you're using now, I'm sure is fine. This will probably be over, if I had to guess, a year from now. So around this time next year, I hope that I am projecting correctly that things will start to return to normal. They may not. Or maybe they'll start to return to normal next week. Nobody can say. We will be able to look back on it, and we'll be able to say, well, if I'd have known, yeah, well, if I'd have known what the winning lottery ticket numbers were, I'd have won the lottery. You know, what's the point of that conversation? Duh. But we don't know. And so because we don't know, I sort of hope for the best, but expect the worst and plan accordingly. The good news is CPU prices and bare bones mini PC prices are very, very low. You know, we've seen a few, you know, starting at $150 that are good mid-range machines. Just throw some RAM and storage, throw your operating system on it. You're golden. And if you're saying, well, I don't have the RAM or storage and I can't afford it. Well, I can't afford a Rolls Royce. That's why I don't have one. Welcome to the club. You'll do without. If you need it for work, if you earn money with it, you've got the money to pay for it. Because if your job pays you $50,000 a year, or even if it pays you $20,000 a year, spending $400 on a machine with RAM and storage on it, is it such a small percentage you're going to give up $19,600 because you don't have $400? Is that what you're trying to get me to believe? So the people who still need computers still have the money to buy them. There's still a fraction, a tiny little minuscule fraction of the cost of being in business. If you have a business, you're probably paying rent on that building, maybe insurance, errors and omissions insurance, maybe you've got marketing cost, maybe you've got inventory cost, maybe you've got an accountant, payroll. These are expenses that if you cut those expenses, you don't have a business anymore. You can just close the doors and go back home. And if you're a home user that's just wishing to buy more toys, well, if the toys are expensive right now, wait for Christmas. If you want to behave like a child, then you get treated like a child. It's like, okay, well, maybe if you're a good boy and Santa will come this year, don't be on the naughty list. I mean, I like to think we're all adults here and we don't need to be coddled, but the reality is none of us are entitled to having a computer. It's not a God-given gift. And the level of computer that we can afford will determine how important it is to us. Because I've seen smokers and drinkers always have money for cigarettes and beer. They could be unemployed for over a year and a half, and somehow they find a way to keep buying another pack of cigarettes and another case of alcohol. So I know what humans are capable of when they really, really, truly want something and the sacrifices they're willing to make. But when you're not willing to make any sacrifice, yeah, I'm not willing to make the sacrifices to buy a Rolls Royce, okay? If I really wanted one, I could get one. I just have to give up everything else I want. I don't want it that bad. So when somebody complains about the price, then that tells me they really don't want it, honestly. Because if they really wanted it, they'd have it. They would find a way. Humans always find a way. And I don't know what else I could say about that. If you're waiting on somebody else to take care of it for you, you're going to be waiting a long time. But again, it's not just you, it's all of us. You're not paying any more than the rest of us are. There are some good deals to be had, and my goal is to go through some of these units I found on Amazon to determine if they're really good deals. Like this looks like a great deal to me on paper. Everything sounds great, and so far, I haven't found anything wrong other than maybe the way they've installed Windows is a little sketch. For me, it's a little sketch. I wouldn't do it that way. That's an easy problem to resolve. And if you want, we can go through that today as well. We can just reinstall Windows. Because here's the thing, while we're waiting, let me show you what Firebat's doing where they've done everything right, where B-Link isn't doing anything right anymore when it comes to this. So I'm going to give you a live example. Because we are live and unrehearsed and unscripted, I want to show you just how easy and obvious it should be with any PC manufacturer. But if we open the browser and we want Firebat drivers for the F2, that's all I should have to do. Look at the first link. This doesn't work on B-Link. You try and find the drivers for the SEI 14. You try and find the image. You try and find the download links. Anyway, so Firebat, right? First link. Second link. This is a product page. I want a support page. This one goes to driver download. It tells us before we click on it, so you don't have to just blindly click on things. So let's try it. Does it work? It works. Now you want to talk about sketch. This is sketchy. What Firebat is doing is, my understanding is this is a violation of Microsoft's internal policies with their vendors. And apparently they're not an official vendor because they wouldn't be anymore if Microsoft caught them doing this. It's not illegal, but it's against Microsoft policy. And what they're doing is they're providing Windows 11 with the drivers already in it as a benefit for you, the customer, even though Microsoft says you're not allowed to do that. So at least that's maybe I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. So there's Windows 11 Pro 24H2, Pro for workstations. I don't know why they would offer that. And Mech Revo Cambodia OS. I don't know what that is. But this is just the operating system with the drivers installed. I don't like how they're pre-configuring their operating system, so I would never want to use this. If I don't like the way it is now, I'm just going to put it back. Why would I do that? So I will go get my own Windows 11 by just opening up a browser tab and type in download Windows 11, and the first link that comes up is Microsoft. Say Microsoft.com, software download. This is all legal and follows Microsoft policy. And we'll just create a Windows 11 media installation, and you boot off the USB drive and do a wipe and reinstall. But then we're going to need drivers. So coming back over to the Firebat page, what about if we just want drivers? Well, here's a bunch of products Firebat makes. And it says there's a T2, an AK2. We're looking for an F2 right here, F2. This is ours. And it says drivers. Click on drivers. Look at this. We have a zip file from Google Drive that shows inside of this, it's not one zip file, it's 7 individual files. Chips, I don't know what CH341 is. What is that? You have the chipset driver, the graphics driver, the management engine, serial I/O, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. But the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, actually, I don't know if they're installed by default. No, it just occurred to me as I'm speaking. We never did a clean install. But there's all your drivers. You didn't have to pull your hair out trying to find them like you do with B-Link. Very obvious and easy to find. Let's go back. What else do they have? A BIOS. Latest BIOS shows P3H, I don't know, 11, November 8th of 2025. Released December 3rd. I would assume by now we should have this BIOS already on here. We can double check. Okay, with that, let me get back over to the main. Where was I? Over here. Yeah, we're still downloading and installing. But that's what I expect from any PC manufacturer. At a very bare minimum, a website with the specifications of your product, the drivers of your product. I don't care if you have a system image or not. It's fine if you do, it's fine if you don't. I expect the links to work, I expect the drivers to all be there, I expect the drivers to work, and I don't expect any missing drivers, B-Link. I'm gonna keep poking at B-Link because they used to be the lead example of this, and now they're one of the worst. You'd think they'd be getting better, they're getting worse. So that's why we now have an open opportunity to go look at other manufacturers to replace B-Link. Not because we woke up one day and decided to go after them. It's because we woke up one day and found out they abandoned us. And they're still selling product, and they're still basically lying. Their support is saying, our links work. No, they don't. I've proven they don't. And they say, oh, our drivers are available. No, they're not. I've already proven it. So they keep gaslighting and gaslighting, and they're not acknowledging or admitting what the problems are or giving us any reassurance that they're going to fix it. That tells me they're just lying. They know they're lying, and they're just trying to get people to buy more product. That's no way to stay in business, and you've lost, B-Link has lost all of my confidence. So it's not that the product itself is bad, but without the support, I might as well buy from AliExpress. Therefore, Firebat's looking real good to me right now. All right, so that's why we're looking at this. Maybe if B-Link, didn't drop the ball and kept doing what they were doing right, we'd be looking at other B-Link models. But this doesn't just affect one B-Link model. This is a company-wide problem, and it's fallen so far. I just can't believe it. A company that size would resort to behaviors like some startup that's never sold PCs before, because I can't tell them apart anymore. So I'm looking for a replacement for that reason. It's not like I just decided I didn't like them. They aren't holding up their end of the deal, and they won't admit it. So I'll find somebody else who will. You vote with your dollars. If a company doesn't do something, if something really, really bothers you, stop buying their product. And they'll either be forced to address the issue or go out of business. That's how the marketplace works. It's not cruel. There's not any different rules for Firebat than there is for Minisforum and B-Link and Ace Magic and Camrui and all the others. We expect the same. I don't care if it's Triku or Wowie or Paladin or TrigKey. I don't care. I expect the same bare minimum. And if you can't provide the bare minimum, which is drivers and a website, I want nothing to do with you. I might as well just go to a garage sale if that's what I want. And I'll pay a lot less at the garage sale. But ask me how I really feel. Remember, I can't do that to my clients. I can't just sell a client a computer, and then if you have problems with it, tough luck. I'm not going to answer the phone or return your calls. And I'll just tell you, that's not a problem. I'll just gaslight you. No, that's not a problem. No, it's breaking. No, it isn't. Just contradiction. Well, you need to fix it. Well, just go to our website, fix it yourself. All the links are there. No, your website has all broken links. No, it doesn't. They work fine. That's what B-Link is doing right now. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We are aware of it, or we're aware of it now. We're working on it. We should have it up and running in another 10 days. Apologize for the inconvenience. Something along those lines. In the meantime, here are the files you want attached to an email. You know what I mean? Here's a link to a Google Drive page until we get the site up. They don't even do that. Nope. So I am tickled that Firebat is at the minimums. So we're off to a good start. It's funny to me because wouldn't that just be assumed? Not in 2026. Nope. No. All right, let me get back over to the chat since we're still waiting over here for this to finish and see what's on your mind. If you have any questions about the unit or about mini PCs in general, I'm happy to do what I can to provide some kind of an answer for you. Andy said, I told everybody this is a 120 watt power supply, but I didn't tell you what the voltage. You are correct. I did not do that, did I? These are usually laptop 19 volt power supplies, more so than any other voltage. That's the most common, but they're not all the same. There are differences. This one is 19. It's your standard 19 volt power supply. I would say if I had 20 PCs up here, 19 of them would be 19 volt power supplies. They would have variations in the wattage. That's why I went directly for the wattage. But then that 1 out of 20 will be a weird, you know, it'll be 12 volts or it'll be some other, it won't be 19, but most of them are 19. Always good to verify that. So fair question. Thank you for bringing that up. Mara says, our archives have an NPB7, not an NAB7, and I don't have any history of the thumbnails I've done for the NAB7. Yeah, well, we'll see what the unit says on the bottom. It'll have its model number on the bottom of it. It'll be 2 seconds to figure it out. All of this time spent researching is kind of wasted because it won't change what's in the box. Is it like Schrodinger's cat? It's all good either way. Bill Stodd said Microsoft says you can't distribute their software synonymous with the warning of breaking the seal voids the warranty. Try enforcing it. So when it comes to the warranty seals, they're not valid in the United States, but they could be valid in other countries, and they could be enforceable in the sense that the company could reject your warranty. In the United States, if a company rejected your warranty because of the seal being broken, they would lose that lawsuit if you took them to court. They would immediately lose because there's already precedent and a law saying specifically companies cannot do that. On the other hand, if you're violating a company policy, see, too many people don't seem to understand the difference between company policies and US laws. So if you work for Microsoft or you have a contract with Microsoft, and Microsoft says, in order to work with us or for us, you must follow our policies. Failure to do so will result in a termination of working with us or working for us. That is enforceable by Microsoft. You just won't be their partner, you won't be their employee. Same is true with bank employees. Medical employees must follow HIPAA laws. If you're not a medical employee, the HIPAA laws don't apply to you. They are not for you. They're regulatory laws enforceable to people that work within the industry. If you don't work in the industry, you're not expected to even know what these rules are. It's not your job. When it is your job, there are legal repercussions. But company policy might state you're not allowed to wear black shoes. And if you come into work with bright red shoes, you could be dismissed. That's not a law. That's just a company policy. IBM in the 1950s, 1960s, their salesmen would be sent out wearing blue suits, right? It was all blue, big blue. That was a requirement, an absolute requirement of being employed by IBM, and you're expected to wear your uniform. When I worked at Best Buy, I had to wear a Best Buy shirt and khakis. I provided my own khakis, but they provided me the shirts. I had to have black shoes. I had to be hygienically clean and presentable for interaction with the public because I'm representing Best Buy. If I fail those minimums, Best Buy can fire me, say, we don't want you here anymore. We don't want you representing us. There's no law, it's policy. And if you don't work for Best Buy, you can wear whatever you want, right? So let's not confuse company policies that are enforceable for people that work with or for the company versus United States laws, which could be regulatory and are only enforceable to people in an industry, or they could be universal or could be statewide, countywide. You know, the county in which Jack Daniels makes their whiskey, which is what, Kentucky, I think, isn't it? That's a dry county. They're not allowed to sell whiskey. They're allowed to make it, but they cannot sell it in the city in which they make it, or the county. So if you were to get like a factory tour and you wanted to buy like a souvenir bottle, they cannot sell it to you there. You have to go somewhere else to buy it. That would be a law versus a policy. So anyway, welcome to the United States. A lot of people don't seem to understand the difference, and they conflate the two constantly, at least what I'm seeing online. And I just want to set the record straight because I think it's pretty clear and obvious to know the difference. Police aren't going to get called over a policy. Or they could be, but there's nothing they can do. Whereas, you know, the policy would be enforced by the policy. You're not employed by them, or you don't have, like if Firebat is working with Microsoft officially, then Microsoft would say you need to stop doing that, or any sort of official approved working together. If you want our approval, you have to stop doing that. And it seems to me it's pretty clear, based on the way this Windows out-of-box experience went, and the fact that they offer the Windows install like that, it's probably being done independently and not with any cooperation with Microsoft. That would be my guess. I'm speculating based on, you know, what I see Dell and HP do. And they definitely don't want to upset Microsoft. Frankie says, it's my bad, it is the NPB7. Okay, well, it doesn't change anything. Honestly, I couldn't tell you the difference between an NAB and an NPB. I don't know what those letters stand for, but I know they're all good. So I'm very shocked that you're having a problem with it, and we'll get it figured out. Matthew Burden joins us and says hello. There's Frank Jimmy saying hello. He says, I've been doing a lot of spectating of the live streams, not much interaction, but I'm still enjoying all the content, and keep it coming. You got it, Frank. Thank you for speaking up and letting us know you're out there. Because you could be watching. We don't know unless you say something, that you're even in the chat room if you're not saying anything. The Greening said, Vermont is a no-cause state. You can be dismissed or fired from your job for no reason whatsoever with no repercussions to the employer. So in Arizona, we call that a right-to-work state, which is interesting because right to work means exactly what you're calling no cause, which is you can be fired at any time for any reason with no repercussions. You don't have to be given any warnings. You don't have to be given any notice. Just nothing you can do about it. So is that right to work or is it right to not work? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like a weird way to phrase that, but there you go. Boy, this update's taking a while, isn't it? And don't think the computer's slow because this update's taking a while. You could do these same updates on the computer you're using, and I'll bet they'll take just as long. The way Windows Update works seems to make everybody wait, whether you've got a $10,000 computer or a $150 computer. It all basically seems to take the same amount of time. At least that's what it feels like in my experience. And I've got a lot of experience with Windows Updates. So if you think, oh, I've got a faster computer, so my Windows Updates won't take as long, you're going to be sadly disappointed. Is there a happy way to be disappointed? Gerald Cochran says we call it an at-will employee. That sounds like a better description. Mark Leibowitz said I wasn't paying close enough attention to catch any out-of-box variations. The privacy options, like if I want to turn location settings on or off, all of that was already preset and skipped past without giving us any opportunity. That's the one that gets under my skin a little bit. Because if they did that, I wonder what else they might have done. What about what we didn't see or haven't discovered yet? We don't know. But if they did that, then they potentially did something else. If I go through that out-of-box experience with the same way when I install Windows 11, I get the same screens. They could still be making other modifications I don't know about, but it seems less likely. If you've already made modifications here, you might have made modifications elsewhere that I haven't caught yet. But if you didn't make modifications here, then you probably didn't make modifications anywhere else either. That's the logic I'm using, whether or not that's true. That is a trend I tend to see time and again. It's not just one change. It's either no change or lots of changes that we learn later on. So we can do a wipe and reinstall on this machine and just download the drivers from the website and put it back, and that way I don't have to worry about finding any other discrepancies. The fact that they offer Windows 11 for workgroups blows my mind. That should not be offered to home users. That should be locked down to companies only. And if you install that, good luck, because you're going to have group policy settings that you're going to have to change in order to just share files on a network. And you'll say, well, how come my Windows 11 doesn't work and I'm following all the settings? Because you ran the 4 workstations part and you're reading instructions on the Pro. That's what everybody's talking about online primarily when you're asking for help. There's not too many people asking for help that have the workstations version. So finding that help is going to be more challenging. Just get rid of it. Don't use it. It's not for you. So I don't know why Firebat offers that. It's really intended for really high-end machines on a corporate environment, and Firebat doesn't make a machine like that. And they're primarily selling to customers, not to corporations. So I don't know what they're thinking. Andy says he has a Firebat. It did not present that out-of-box experience. So they're not consistent. Okay, that's good to know. If I install Windows Fresh and Clean, it doesn't matter if it's made by Firebat or Dell or Miniswarm or Ace Magic. It will always be the same when I do it. Andrew joins us in the chat and says, hello, welcome in, Andrew. Robert McCord Magumi joins us and says, hello. All right, I'm almost thinking we should just cut this and just do a clean install. I mean, what's the point of doing these updates? if I'm just going to wipe it and reinstall it, because I'm already a little uneasy with what I'm seeing. And it's probably fine, but what it means is that if I sell this to somebody and this Windows install is different in any way that I don't know about yet, and the customer calls 6 months after I've sold it because now they're having a problem with something, and then I find out that something was set in a way that I would never have sold it that way if I had known, then the only way I can know is to do it myself. The only reason I wouldn't do this is if I didn't catch anything that, you know, raised a red flag. But that whole privacy screen missing and the wallpaper, that raises a flag. Now we can, if we want to save the wallpaper, we can save it before we wipe everything out, because it doesn't appear that they offer that except on the main system image. So why don't we just do that now rather than wait for this, because this is taking forever and we're not even done yet. We still have to put 25H2 on. So even just to save time, it's probably faster to do a wipe and reinstall regardless, because with the latest ISO from Microsoft, it already has all of the April updates in here, slipstreamed in, which means any remaining updates are going to be teeny tiny, way faster to get it done, and we'll have a consistent result at the end of it. So logically, not that you have to, but it might be a good idea when you get a brand new computer, especially if you're at all have any anxiety or concern like I do. Instead of being in a hurry to set it up and start using it, be in a hurry to make sure that it's got a good solid foundation first, so that you can rely on it for years and years and years with it. More than likely be trouble-free if you set it up right. But if you trust the manufacturer to have set it up right, and then you find out 6 months later that you're having a problem that's unique because of the way the manufacturer set it up, and all the other ones that you did yourself are fine, what do you learn from that? Probably best to nip it in the bud now, rather than spend all this time 6 months from now, then we have to reset it and start over again. Which one is ultimately going to save you time? A little time now, or a lot more time maybe later? So with that logic, I think let's just go ahead and interrupt this. What we'll do is we'll copy the wallpaper off. And how I do that is I'm going to go over here to my side of things here where I can see what's going on. Let me move this over. And let's right click and we'll go to, let's see, personalize. And we have this wallpaper here, background image. And I think all of these background images are pretty stock, aren't they? That one certainly is. That one is. This one, is it? And this one. All right, let's browse photos, and that should take us to the folder. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Probably not under pictures, nothing there. Let's see. What are these called? Pictures. Where does the default directory for these pictures? It's been a long time since I have looked. So this is browsing our photos directory, but these are in a Windows directory. Let's cheat. And let's just ask Copilot. Where? Oh, wrong keyboard. Whoopsie. Let's try that again. Let me make sure I didn't turn anything off. Let's get rid of camera one here for a second so you can see the whole screen. Open source projector. Where are wallpaper images stored in Windows 11? Don't worry about typos, it knows what we mean. C:\Windows web. Let's verify that. Let's go to, whoops, I didn't mean to bring that up. Darn it, close that. Start. Close that. Come on. Are you kidding? Come on. I don't know why people don't like to use Edge. Maybe because other browsers don't make me answer an interrogative interview before they bring up the home page, for crying out loud. Let me close that. Where was I? Okay, C:\Windows web. So yellow folder, File Explorer. Let's go to C:, so this PC, C drive, Windows, alphabetized down to the W's with the yellow folders, looking for web. There it is. Wallpaper. Let's view large, extra large icons. Where is Firebat? Captured motion. Okay, say so. Extended, empty. Flow, empty. But it's not empty, but not what we're looking for is what I meant to say. I think glow is pretty standard. Spotlight. What else we got? Sunrise. Windows. Okay, it's none of these. So again, I feel like if I was going to do this to customize wallpaper, I would be putting my wallpaper in the wallpaper folder instead of doing what, like, how did this person who did this Firebat wallpaper decision, how did they decide where that was going to go? They just were in a mood one day. Did they throw a dart at a wall in a black room with no light? Said, that's the folder. It should be, there should be consistency. We should be following, well, are we savages? We should be following some basic universal, even though you can't enforce it, common sense when it comes to putting things away. But maybe they don't want you to copy it. I don't know. Where is that image? So another way I can find it would just be to open up search engine. And let's look under everything. Let's just search for JPEG. This could take a while. And of course, Windows updates are still downloading and installing at the same time. I just have the window minimized. There's Oystein saying hello from Norway. Oystein says, what about backing up the current drivers? Well, yes, we can absolutely back up the current drivers, but that doesn't really help me ascertain if they're providing all the drivers. Then I remain ignorant of that. So what would happen if we didn't have the drivers, right? That's what I want to know. Can we go online and get them? Because if we'd have backed up the drivers on the B-Link, we'd be completely oblivious to the fact that the drivers we were missing for two particular device manager items were not offered by B-Link in any way, shape, or form. In that case, we would have never known that. So yes, if we want to make life easier, and you at home should probably want to do that, back up your drivers before you reinstall. But if you're doing a product review, we want to review that, you know, the company is providing everything correctly. And I'm also curious if we even need all those drivers. Like, do we need the Wi-Fi drivers, or will that be detected automatically after we reinstall Windows 11, negating the purpose of even needing that driver? We wouldn't know that either. So for that reason, I'm gonna not back up the drivers because I want to see what happens. But just because that's the way I'm doing it doesn't mean that's the way I recommend you do it. Let's see what we got here. See if we can change our view to large. There's image 0. Okay, open this. Where's it location? Open in location. Open file location. Where is it? Doesn't tell me. What folder are we in? Search results. I'm trying to figure out, usually up here it will tell us where we're at. It'll specify the folder. No more options. Copy as a path. Let's open Notepad. Got to be an easier way, but I'll get it done. I'll figure, even if I'm doing it the hard way, I'm getting it done. Let's just paste. What's the path? It shows it's in Windows Web. So did I just overlook it? Let's try that again. If this is Windows Web, then we go to C:, and the only reason we're backing the wallpaper up is it doesn't seem to be a downloadable wallpaper. So if we want to keep that wallpaper, we better preserve it before we wipe. Otherwise, it's probably part of the original, the system image they're offering, which we don't want. And I'm not going to download an 8 gig system image because I want a 300K wallpaper. You can. I'm not going to do it. So Windows Web, and it's right there. I went into the wallpaper folder, and they didn't. Why didn't they? Great question. We're going to copy that. We'll keep it. Now we know. And as I mentioned, Windows updates are still installing in the background. We can check on those. And I need a flash drive to put the wallpaper on. So let me grab a flash drive here and plug it in. I know I've got an empty flash drive around here somewhere. Hold on a second. It's scattered around in my drawer. Well, you know what? We'll just use our Windows 11 installer. That'll work. It's got lots of spare space on it. So let me plug my Windows 11 installation media in, and we should see on the screen. Yep. Finds it. Open the folder. And we'll just, we're going to make a new folder. Go up here, say new folder, and I'll just leave it as a new folder because I'll erase it later. Erase that little teeny tiny JPEG file. That is super tiny. 200K. You could put this on a floppy drive and still have 95% of your floppy, well, maybe 80% of your floppy drive still available for using other things. That's how tiny that little wallpaper is. And if we want to go ahead and start downloading drivers while we're waiting, we can. But I want to remind you, we don't need to wait anymore. I don't need this to finish installing. I'm just going to wipe it out anyway. So I'm going to say with that, let's just do this. Let's go to Advanced Options, Recovery, and Advanced Startup. And let's just do an Advanced Startup. And in the Advanced Startup, what we'll do is we'll direct it to boot from our flash drive that I've left plugged in. Start our Windows 11 setup. We'll erase all the partitions. We'll install Windows 11 clean, and then we'll take a look in the device manager. And we'll see what, if any, or all of those available drivers on Firebat's website do we actually need. That's why I'm not backing up the drivers. Here comes our advanced startup menu. We're going to use a device, and SanDisk Extreme is our UEFI bootable USB drive, partition 1. And now it reboots again, and it should boot off of the USB flash drive and begin our Windows 11 setup process. We'll also verify that reactivation takes place on a clean install without having to enter any product keys. So here we go. English, next. Keyboard method US. Install Windows 11, agree. We're going to erase everything on the internal NVMe drive. Wipe it. We call it a nuke and pave. There's our license agreement for Windows. And it'll start looking for where we can install. And we're going to want disk 0. So we're going to delete everything on disk 0. Every partition until there's only one disk 0 left. Disk 1 is our flash drive. You don't want to mess with that. So now there's only one disk 0 that's unallocated space. That's the way the drive would look brand new out of the box if you would ordered it online. They don't know if you're using it in a PlayStation or a Mac or a Linux, so it's just completely blank, no partitions, no formats, because depending on what you're putting it in, it may not be compatible until it is formatted in a language that the device you're putting it in can understand. In our case, it's Windows, but they don't just assume that. So unallocated is how it ships from the manufacturer. When we hit next here, Then what Windows is going to do is partition that drive and format it. So right here, it verifies this is everything you want to do. Yes. Okay, there we go. So now we start to install. And ultimately, this will be less time than just doing all those updates. This will be faster. And this also gives us that consistent build that I want because I have to support it. If you're just buying for you, have fun. Do whatever you want. But when you're buying for somebody else that's going to come back to you with questions or potential issues, and you're doing everything differently, can you remember how you did it differently for them? Because I can't. That way, I do it all the same for everybody. Then I don't have that particular issue. I can immediately get to work and solve the problem without worrying about idiosyncrasies between what was my mood the day I installed this. That would just be insanity. So for me, it's worth it to make sure this is consistent with everything I do, rather than just hope for the best and then deal with the potential consequences if the manufacturer did something that that I later find out, after hours of research and my time, I just lost every bit of profit I made. Customer may not be happy with the whole inconvenience of it all, regardless if I took care of it. I lost money, and I could have avoided the customer's experience being negative, and I could have avoided me losing money by taking the time now to make sure this is set up exactly the same way as any other computer I sell. And likely the problem never would have occurred, and the solution will be much easier to find, because if the customer's having a problem with my configuration, that means I need to know about that, right? Because that's my config, and that's a potential future call that I will be able to answer very quickly once I know the answer to. And if it's something that starts, being a couple of calls, then I might just nip it in the bud in any future installs or any maintenance calls to just go ahead and make those little customization changes and change my consistency to now be upgraded. And from that point forward, do everything that way. I want to make a profit. I don't want my customer inconvenienced. Oystein says, Carey, have confidence in Firebat. I do. I mean, that's why we bought them. I do. Oh, disconnect from the internet, says Frankie. That's a very good idea. Thank you, Frankie, for reminding me. When we install Windows, and I don't know why that just disconnected like that, unless it was just coincidence. It's rebooting. What just happened? How could I have timed that any better? Wow, that is live, unedited, real Murphy's Law recorded on film. Yeah, you do not want to be connected to the internet when you set this up, or it'll start downloading updates. Now, the good news is Microsoft, in a future soon-to-be released, this is the rumor, but it comes from a reputable resource, soon-to-be released new installer will ask you, if you are connected to the internet, do you want to go get your updates now? That way, if you leave it plugged in, you can say no. But that option does not exist right now. But if you unplug it regardless, you won't have to worry about whether or not Microsoft does that. So again, I appreciate the reminder, Frankie. You think I'd know by now, wouldn't you? How many times have I done this? And yeah, Oystein, yeah, we are getting 25H2 this way. We're getting all the updates this way because it's a brand new update to the media installer that Microsoft released last week. So if you have a Windows 11 installation media, I strongly recommend you update it. Or in this case, recreate it. Just erase it and start over again with the latest version. And I've got a video that shows you how to do that. We made it last week. Microsoft's supposed to be doing this every month now, which they've never done that. It's always like once a year. So to go from once a year to once a month is a pretty drastic change. Let's see if they keep up with it. It's a lot of work. What I'm particularly interested in is our device manager. Some machines, you know, you'll have 12 items that are not identified. In other machines, everything's identified. And I haven't been able to find a rhyme or reason to that, but I'm sure there is one if I researched it. Okay, so getting back to this is what our out-of-box experience should have looked like. And you'll notice right out of the gate, it says, is this the right country or region? Yes. And then it didn't ask us about, if you go back and rewind this and look at the very first screen that comes up, it wasn't that screen. So this is a different install of Windows 11. We're going to skip secondary layout. So they might have been using an international version where I'm using a US version. Doesn't mean they modified it. Now here it's apparently seeing the Ethernet and it's not seeing Wi-Fi. But because we made this with Rufus, we have the I don't have internet option. And then we just put a username in. And we should get to privacy settings here. Let's see. There they are. This did not come up. Again, you can rewind this live video and see we never saw this. It was hidden away. But I like location settings on. That's going to update our date and time for us. And it'll keep it updated every day. So you don't have to worry about the clock losing or gaining seconds or minutes over time, or the effective daylight saving time requiring you to change the clock. It'll just change automatically. Now that that's done, it'll bring us to the desktop where we can once again plug the internet in and look at Windows updates and see if any of the missing drivers, which we also have to determine, will be provided by Windows Update. And then what, if any, remain that we'll get from Firebat. So that's the whole point of this exercise, because you ought to be able to start with nothing. In other words, somebody gives you this computer and it has no, let's say it's bare bones, and you put your own storage in there. You should be able to install Windows 11 and get the drivers and be up and running without having any prerequisites. It should just work. That being said, it's not always the case, such as B-Link, where they don't even provide the driver at all for one of the items, and they refuse to believe when you tell them that that's a thing, and they won't verify it. They just tell you you're wrong, and they don't provide any evidence. They just gaslight. And I don't want to work with a company that gaslights. I want to work with a company that has a backbone and has integrity and pride, that they would be embarrassed and shamed and want to correct it immediately, not live in denial and continue to act in a shameful way. But that's just me. Now, before I plug it into the network, let's right-click and go to Device Manager, see what this looks like without anything but bone stock Windows. All right, we have a number of devices here, a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's a lot. Will this connect to the network? Let me grab my Ethernet cable. Put camera 1 back up here so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll watch that bottom right corner and see if it starts to flash. Oh, well, it's got a driver for the network card, and we need that to get online to get the drivers. Otherwise, I'd have to use one of my USB to Ethernet adapters that has Windows drivers already built into Windows. You just plug this in, plug your network in, get right up online. Those are like 20 bucks, maybe less on Amazon. Okay, so with that being done, the next thing we do is go to Windows Update and see if Windows Update will provide us with any of these missing drivers. Just try to work smarter and not just working harder. Let the system, give it an opportunity to take care of itself. My date and time looks correct down here in the bottom right corner, and I never set that. You never saw me at any point set this date and time. So that shows you it's happening automatically. Can I change my resolution? Because this 4K is killing my eyes. No. So we don't have a video driver because that's all grayed out. So let's go to Settings, and Windows Update. And while there won't be much in the way of Windows updates for us, I hope we'll see a bunch of drivers. If not, we'll just go to Firebat's website and grab them. Not a big deal. I like to turn these features on, turn that feature off. Now for optional updates, it says one available, and it's a driver for Realtek. I don't know if it's Wi-Fi or wired. I think that's the wired adapter that's working. So it's just giving us a newer version. And it looks like we're getting maybe a driver for the video card automatically. That's why you see the Elgato logo, because the system is dropping the old video driver and replacing it with the new one. And then we'll hit retry on this now and see if there's anything else we can look for. But with that blank out in the return, that looks like a video driver. So if I right click and try and change my resolution now, it is no longer shaded out. So again, pretty easy stuff here. Just roll with it. Don't fight it. Don't try to control it. Steer it. It looks like we're getting a bunch of other drivers here. So the antivirus update, that happens numerous times throughout the day. We've got a Realtek driver update. We've got the Windows malicious software removal tool. That's all fine. We have some kind of audio driver here. An update again for Windows security. Those are pretty normal and common. And then we have 3 more driver updates for Intel. The good news is these are going to be very fast. The one that might take a while is this malicious software removal tool, but all these other ones should install pretty rapidly. And if we didn't reinstall, we'd still probably be going back to Windows Update waiting for 25H2, versus now we're so much further ahead than we were just by starting over again. But that's a judgment call, you know, for each of us to make individually. Pros and cons, time versus money, having a consistent install versus an unknown install. We all weigh that in importance differently. I don't need my Windows 11 flash drive installed anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug it. Oh, I need to copy the wallpaper off of it, so I'll just keep it aside. I just remembered. Look at how fast that was. So all those updates are done, and we'll check for some more. But when I click on the device manager now, how much difference has that made? A little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it took care of about 3 devices for us. And it's saying there's no more updates. Perfect. So what do? We're going to go to Firebat. F2 drivers. First link. All the way to the bottom. Oh, wow, they have a lot more. I didn't realize this page went, oh my gosh, the Firebat makes a lot of stuff. Wow. And look, contact information if you want to reach out for support, business consultation. They've got links to their social pages. Hey, all good, all good. So I was just trying to go to the bottom of the first section. I didn't realize there were more sections. We'll hit the drivers button. And I wish these were all in one package. Let's see. CH341 sounds like the BIOS, the CH341A, the BIOS programmer. What is that? Let's download it. And let's download this one. And let's download this one. And let's download this one. And let's download this one, and this one, and this one. You know, these file sizes are all pretty small. View our downloads. Show more. Where is it? Open downloads page. I only have 1, 2, and 6. What happened? What happened? Am I going too fast for it? Is that what I'm doing? What did I get? 1, 2, and 6. That's so weird. All right, let's try 3. Download quota exceeded for this file. Okay, this happens when you are using a free download site. In this case, Google Drive is free, but if I'm signed into my own Google account, then those file downloading 24-hour period restrictions don't apply. But I'm not logged in right now to my Gmail. I'm not logged into my Google account is what I'm saying. If I was, I would have never seen that message. And you might get it sometimes. So 1, 2, I need 3. It's 3 is not going to let me. That's graphics driver. I don't really care about it. And 4 is the Intel management engine. Did I have 4? 1, 2, no, I'm missing 4, and I'm missing 6. So 4 is the management engine. And that, again, I'm getting the download quota exceeded, which that will go away once I'm signed in. The Intel serial I/O is a pretty important file. So for right now, I'm going to just close. Oh, we did get it. We got 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. So I'm only missing 3 and 4. I don't care about the graphics driver in the Intel ME. Let's see what I can do about that. These are the bigger files too, right? The 276 megs is a big file, and of course 1 gig. You'll notice the files we've been able to download are smaller, so it takes longer to hit the quota. These are going to hit the quota faster. Those are 24-hour quotas, so somebody was here before us and ate up all the bandwidth. But if you are signed into your Google account, you won't have any problem. But let's just see where this goes. Let's go to our downloads folder. And let's start with number 1. What is CH341? It has no INF. I don't think this belongs in. I think this is a BIOS programmer. Well, no, wait a minute. These are INFs. I don't have the file extensions turned on. All right, well, let's do this. Let's go right-click on the device manager. And let's go to, click on any item in here. Doesn't matter what it is. And then hit this icon that suddenly appears. We'll browse to our downloads folder. It probably isn't going to open. We're going to have to extract the zip files, aren't we? Yeah. So I have to extract all these files. So right-click. That's not supposed to happen. Oh, I've got the Intel serial I/O twice. That's why there's a parenthesis 1. Let's dump that extra one. Start with number 1. And what happened to all my... See, this is because all the drivers aren't installed. Things aren't displaying correctly. I should be able to extract everything here. We close and reopen again. A little confused why that's not displaying properly. There we go. That's what I'm looking for, is extract all. So let's just do this one at a time. What is CH341? Let's find out. Because right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 devices. We hit the plus and let it search the downloads folder. And the only one it's going to find would be CH341, and it doesn't find anything valid. So it does appear I'm right, the CH341 is completely unnecessary. You don't need it. I don't know why Firebat puts it in there. This is that level of incompetence that drives me crazy. Like, you don't even know what your own products require. Isn't that crazy? Who should know better than them? And if they don't know, what are the odds you and I will? So I'm going to delete the zip file because I extracted it and I don't want to confuse myself. Let's do the chipset driver. That's probably why we're seeing so much of the display not working correctly. The chipset driver is absolutely critical. That should be an installer we can click. Setup chipset. That's what we're looking for. Yes. And as this installs, you'll probably see this page refresh over here. Let's see. Next, accept, install. I see devices going away, being recognized. Keep going. No whammies, no whammies. What are there, 7 left? It took care of 3 of them? Took care of all but 1? Well, I'd say that's a pretty important driver package right there. Let's restart. And we'll come back and see if that same one remains. So what are we learning from this? Well, we're learning if Firebat did their own research, they'd realize a clean install of Windows 11 needs to have the chipset driver. So that one should be number 1, first and foremost. Delete the CH341. That's a BIOS programmer. End users shouldn't even have that. Get it out of there. And then if there's any apps for the sound or the Intel Management Engine or the serial I/O, we still may need those. That's a pretty fast boot up. Let's get back where we were here in the device manager and see what it looks like. Wow, what a difference. Okay, so let's go back to the downloads folder. Now I'm going to delete that chipset zip file. It is confusing that we don't see the file extensions. Let me turn file extensions on. That's better. We'll get rid of the zip file. And we're going to get rid of number 1 because we don't need that either. So that leaves what would be 3, 4, which we don't have. And then the serial I/O would be the next one I'm worried about. So I'll open this one and extract it. And that should also be an executable, isn't it? Yes. And let's see if that takes care of the last one. The platform is not supported. Well, that's fascinating that they have a driver here that's wrong. It says 12th gen, Windows 10 and 11, serial I/O. Wow. Now we do have an INF folder, and if we just want to get a second opinion, we can update the driver and just point it back into the downloads folder. See if it finds it. Nope. So, you know, look, here's another one that should not be in there. And they don't know any better. They just throw it in there blindly. So number 5, completely unnecessary. Could it be our Wi-Fi? Could that be the unknown driver? Like the unknown comedian? The unknown comic? Let's see. Whoops. Setup.exe. Well, there was an install.bat. I guess they probably wanted us to do that. Either way, we should be okay. This is Wi-Fi 6, good to know. And then let's go back to the Bluetooth driver and do that one. You do one, you got to do the other one. That's all I'm saying. Install driver command prompt. Okay, right-click, run that as administrator. And that should put the Bluetooth driver in. That's kind of a funky way to do it. Let's take another look in the device manager and see if that happened to have taken care of the other device that's unknown. No, it did not. All right, so the next thing I would do, just to try and work as easily as I can to go with the flow, would be to just download the Intel Driver Assistant. And that will also give us newer versions than what is potentially downloadable from their website. Because most manufacturers are, and in this case you have to hit allow on this to allow the system to look at your hardware and report back. Some people are like, oh, it's spying on me. Well, if it doesn't know what you have, it can't tell you what you need. So if you hit block on that, this isn't going to work. Most of the time when I see the allow or block, it's always block. This is the only time I ever hit allow. Let's agree to the license agreement, but we can decline the customer participation program. And we can close the browser out and let this install. If that unknown device is an Intel thing, we should know, because it'll offer it to us. If it's not Intel, then it'll be something else. We'll figure it out here shortly. We can also check our BIOS version without using CPU-Z, so it's only offering us a driver for the graphics card. So let's download that, and then it says here our BIOS version is P3H. So again, remember it was November of 2025. This is the same BIOS that's available. It is only version 1, so there was never an update anyway. So, or rather I should say version 1 of the motherboard. That's not the BIOS. The BIOS, I've made a mistake. This is our BIOS version here, and that matches what was online. And it looks like we can install our video driver, our latest version. And that will appear down here in a second. Video driver is a big file, so it does take a moment. Oh, and not only did it appear down here, but it also appeared in focus. Sometimes it falls behind a screen and people are sitting there waiting. They're like, where is it? And it's waiting on you to see it. So I always watch down in the system tray for stuff like that. We can also check to see if we've activated. Let's start our install, and while it's installing, we'll check our activation status. I'm just curious. This looks good. Hit agree. I don't need the computing improvement program. No, thank you. And start. So while that's running, let's take another look at, well, here, I'll just type activation. How about that? See if Windows is activated. And it is. So the product key was automatically reassigned to us, and our system was activated. Even though I never entered a product key, it remembers it on the Windows servers based on the serial number of your board. It is tied to that serial number for life. You cannot move it. And in that way, you never have to keep re-entering your product key. So that's nice to see that working like it's supposed to. And it's also evidence for people who just refuse to believe me. So there you go. And then finally, we just have this unknown device, which if we want, it says it's ACPI compliant. What is that? There goes the video driver, of course, right when I'm trying to look at something. These live unscripted videos really show you the frustrations when you're working alone. You're trying to do two things at once, and one thing interrupts with something you're doing just in the moment you're doing it, right? Otherwise, it's fine. Let's get back over here, driver details. So we can look at what this is. This is probably, let's see if we can just copy that. Just on a whim, let's just go over here and paste it in here and see what it says. It's the Intel Management Engine. That was one of the drivers we could not download because we're not signed into Google. And the Intel Driver Assistant doesn't update it. So just type in Intel ME driver, and it should pull it up from Intel right here. And that's it. It's just that easy. It's really not a big deal. And once we pull that up and install it, I think our device manager will be clear and happy. So if we could have downloaded the ME file, the chipset file, and maybe the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, I think that just those 4 drivers were all that we needed. And They've made it more complicated than it needs to be and created customer confusion that will ultimately result in a support call, which everybody wants to avoid. So they could really do some work fixing that. Now, if we had backed up the drivers and just restored our backup, we wouldn't have learned any of this. It all would have just worked. But that's because we set it up. We want to test how they set it up, and they didn't set it up as good as we would have if we did it. So there you go. And they're the manufacturer, so what does that tell you? Is this done? Almost done. Reboot recommended. Okay, let's reboot, and then when it comes back up, we'll go and extract that Intel Management Engine zip file and install it. And I think we'll be good to go from that point. Now that does put us at a 2-hour mark, which means that looking into the BIOS or opening up the unit, well, guess what? We're going to save that for part 2. And I'm okay with that because our content's getting thin anyway. And anytime we can spend a little bit more in-depth looking more thoroughly at these mini PCs, far more than any other YouTube channel does, we can cover like a reinstall, we cover drivers, we cover opening it up and any sort of details involving what that entails. Is it easy? Is it difficult? What's inside? We can spend more time because if you're looking to drop $400, I want to make sure you understand exactly what to expect. And if it falls below that, you need to let us know. Now, I don't know why I haven't seen any post screen yet. This should have come back up by now. All we did is put a video driver in. Did it turn off? Still running. It's not doing anything. I mean, it should just be restarting. It's not finalizing any installation. I'm hearing the fan start to turn up a little bit, like it's doing something. This is an extraordinarily long period of time that doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's hung up. Now, if I was working remotely and this happened, I'd be screwed. I'd have to have somebody physically unplug it or hold the power button in. Because I think we can sit here and wait and hope it comes up, but I think it should have by now. And I'm impatient. The videos are live, and I don't want to sit here and stare at nothing while we're live. So I'm going to force by pulling the power, plug it back in, and I bet you it fires right up this time. Let's find out. There it goes. That's what it was supposed to do. I don't know why the delay was so long. But I think it was frozen for some reason. And then that's normal as it loads the driver to bring up the desktop. Perfect. Okay, now let's get back to it. We're going to go over here to our device manager just to verify we're still sitting with a unknown device. Yep. We will open the downloads folder, and the ME software is what I want. So double click and extract that. I guess just clicking once and extracting would have been the same. It says you already have these folders. Did we do this already? No, do it anyway. I can't remember anymore. So we'll just duplicate. To be clear, installers, drivers. Okay, installers. Oh my gosh. Okay, setup ME, that's what I want. Next, agree. Next, next. Okay, is this going to go away? It has not gone away. What is it? We don't know. Let's try checking our download directory just to see if there's a driver like in the INF of the ME, but that should have taken care of it. Whoopsie. Browse the downloads folder. I'm sure it's going to say there's nothing in there. Yep. Okay, so we have something ACPI from Intel that seems somehow related to the management engine. So just looking in here again, since we already have the management engine extracted, we'll delete the zip file so I don't do that again. We've already installed that, so we don't need that again. We've already installed and extracted the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so we'll delete those zip files. And something is missing right there. And this is a key thing to know because this is a driver that didn't come along as easily as the other ones. Now, is it possible that if I were signed into Google and I downloaded the whatever one was missing, 3 and 4, was it? Yeah, we never got 3 and 4. Maybe that's part of number 3 or number 4. Well, 4 was the video driver, so we definitely don't need that. That leaves only number 3, which I thought was the management engine. Let's take another look and see what this might be. By the way, I love stuff like this. It's really not a big deal because once we know the answer, we know it forever. The time we spend now, we will never have to do this again. We'll always have this video as our own way to go back if we should ever forget and don't have to reinvent the wheel again. So let me cancel that. Let's go back to driver, details, and hardware ID. And let's Control-C that. Why did this change? Go back, hardware ID, select the first one, Control-C to copy it, open our browser, Control-V to paste it. It says it's Intel management driver or the Intel Serial I/O. Aha! So maybe the Intel Serial I/O driver is needed, but they put the wrong one on there? That would make sense to me. So let's search for it. Download. I want Serial I/O, which would be not here. Let's go back. This says it's for Lenovo computers. What the heck? Let's try this one from Lenovo. See what it does. Intel Serial I/O. What are all these different versions? No, they're all the same version. Serial I/O for Windows 11. This is also Windows 11. This is 1.6. This is 1.59, which is damn near close to 1.6. Same release date. Are these just two of the same thing? Oh, it doesn't even have a download button on this one. So we have no choice. Oh, they're not going to let me down. Don't do that. I don't want to. Are they making me have to do this? I don't want to do it. Well, we're downloading it anyway. All right, so we've already got it. Let's close this out. Let's close and close and go back to our downloads folder where that should be waiting for us. There it is right there. Let's double click it. Yes. And let's see if it tells us that we're not compatible. I was expecting something else. Right click, device manage. Did not seem to do anything. This is a good one. We got ourselves a good one. Just when you thought everything was boring and predictable, they go and throw a curveball at us. I am really confused why the Serial I/O driver isn't loading. And again, there should be a Serial I/O that we can download from Intel, but I'm being too impatient to look for it. But it's probably on this first link here somewhere. Is it a chipset driver? Oh. Serial I/O driver. for Windows 11. That's not too helpful, is it? And I'm just guessing. I mean, it could be one of the other drivers we can't get, but I think we've resolved that. This is not getting us where I was hoping. So let's do something very different using modern technology, and we'll open up Copilot. I don't want to choose a different account. Can I just use Copilot without signing in? No? Well, then we're not going to use Copilot. We'll use Gemini. Take that. Just use your competitor if you want to be difficult. Gemini. What did I just open? Sometimes I type too fast for my own good. Gemini. Oh, it was opening a catalog file. I see. I see what I did there. So, you tricky guy. All right, let's go over here and type Gemini. How about that? How you like me now? Oh, it says you can ask Copilot. I already tried that. You didn't let me. So, bye. All right, so where can I find the driver for this device? And then I will go to the device manager and double click, details, hardware ID, first one, Control C, go back here, Control V, and see what Gemini has to say. Intel Serial I/O. Great. Where to find the driver? The manufacturer's website. Okay, but we can't get to it, or it's telling us it's not valid. Intel driver and support system did not offer it to us. None of that's working. So can we, is there another mini PC similar to the Firebat F2 that I can source the serial I/O download? T-Bow, AO Star, like the Gem 10. All right, well, let's go to their competitor, the AO Star Gem 10. So AO Star, and we want to go to support. Download maybe? Looking for the Gem 10. Gem 10, screen control software, BIOS update. Let's just do a search for Gem 10. These are not Intel. Got to be Intel. This one, no. The Copilot or Gemini was wrong on that. Where else did it say we can get it from? Chattree often sells the exact same chassis and motherboard. Oh, but I don't know that Chattree has a website with downloads, do they? Chattree download drivers. Oh, I guess they do. Which model would it be, though? Is it a Gem? Nope, that's AMD. What about this? This looks just like the good Tico. I just noticed that. That is exactly the same as the good Tico. All right, so we're dealing with traders and not manufacturers. Good to know. Let's do this. Let's find out in another browser window, AO star with an Intel i5-14450. Isn't that what this is? The WTR Max. WTR Max? No, it's the wrong chip. Hold on. Where else can I look? Intel NUC 13 on the Intel Download Center. Let's just do that. Why work any harder than we need to? Download. See, I'm right back to this where I'm not quite sure where I would find the serial I/O. I'm not sure what subsection that's under. Intel NUC, maybe? It's a lot of BIOSes. Let's go back one more, because I thought I saw in our initial search results ASUS. It's awfully slow. Okay, here we go. Serial I/O. Chipset, VGA, speed, Bluetooth, and now it's higher up. Driver package, show all downloads. Maybe that's the problem. There it is. ASUS likes to hide stuff. Okay, that's a pretty small file. All that work for, you know, a 2 meg file. Let's extract that and see if this one will run, or if it gives us the same error. Oh, it's working. Now, let's just close everything. There's too much clutter. And it does look like this has been resolved. Finish. Okay. Now we know. So we need that serial I/O driver. And if I look now in my downloads, I don't want to confuse myself. We'll delete this one. And we're going to delete this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 drivers we actually need. These are the 6 on a clean Windows 11 25H2 install. Now we know. We would not have known that if we backed the drivers up and restored them. Well, just verify one more time in the device manager. Ta-da! And we've already verified we are activated. Everything's happy now, and the way I like it. Now, I will run my Windows 11 optimizer on here, and I will also put the wallpaper where it belongs. I don't like where they put it. So we'll open up the flash drive, which has got 2 partitions. I want this one under new folder. Let's copy that. First of all, this is really stupid. This should be called Firebat, so we know what it is when we look at it. Then let's copy it, and let's move it to where it should have been to begin with, which is under Windows, Web, Wallpaper, Paste. Okay, now right-click. Because we are activated, we should be able to change our background. Now look, I could always right-click on the image and set it as wallpaper. I'm not trying to show people shortcuts. I'm trying to teach people the basics. When you start dealing with shortcuts, that's not the place to start your education. That's where you eventually end up at. So we want to do this in a traditional way that works universally for all people, regardless of knowledge, which would be when you want to change your wallpaper, you go and change your wallpaper, right? And the way you would do that universally on Windows 10, Windows 11, is we're going to go under, let's see, I think I clicked the wrong thing. Let me close this. Right-click an empty spot of your desktop and choose Personalize. And then choose Background. And it says Windows Spotlight. We're going to change that to Picture. And then we have all these new options. We'll hit browse. See, this takes us to the photos directory, or the pictures directory rather. It says browse photos. It should say browse pictures. So Microsoft needs to figure out which word they want to use. Personalize your background as a picture, recent images, choose a photo. So I'm going to say we're going to browse, but I have to point it to the default directory here that we moved it to, which is Windows Web. I don't know why it doesn't default here. And wallpaper. And we can click Firebat. And that's all I wanted to do. Was that so hard? Okay, so that puts the wallpaper back, and then I can unplug this flash drive and plug in my utilities flash drive. Now, I can copy over all the testing, the Crystal Disk Mark, Crystal Disk Info, Cinebench, VLC, Uncle Carey's, but I'm not going to do any of the testing today because of how late we're running on time. But I will run the optimizer before we're done. But I will grab everything to make it ready for us. So we'll go under PC testing software. We can run Crystal Disk Info to see who makes the internal NVMe drive. We can run Crystal Disk Mark portable version to determine how fast that runs, the NVMe drive. Cinebench to determine our CPU performance, and Hardware Info 8.32 to monitor our CPU temps during the Cinebench test. So we are good to go for the follow-up on this. And I'll just run Uncle Carey's Windows 11 Optimizer, and then that will wrap it up for today's video. We'll do the rest of it in a part 2. Just take a second. I love that my optimizer gives us all this information about our Windows build number, our activation and TPM status, secure boot status, BitLocker status, system restore status, and then all of these buttons I want green, so I just hit optimize all, and it'll take care of it and reboot. And then we're ready for part 2, which we'll do here. Let's see, we do Frankie's on Wednesday. Maybe we can revisit this on Tuesday. I don't normally do videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but for just this occasion. So we'll try and do part 2 on Tuesday so you're not waiting a long time. And we'll open it up and see the inside. We'll look at the BIOS. We'll run the tests. And, PC Manager, disk cleanup, all the stuff I like to do. And then it's golden. It's good to go. Right now, I'm a little concerned about the drivers being wrong. The CH341 is a dangerous tool, and it probably won't hurt anything, but it's just best to not have that available to your average ordinary customer. It's more to download that you can't use anyway. It's wasting bandwidth on Google Drive. It's wasting bandwidth on your customers' time, so that feels disrespectful to me. Right now, we could use the optimizer to back those drivers up. I suppose I might as well do that. Too eager to close things out. Let's go ahead and back up the drivers, because now we don't have any excuse to have to go back to the website. If we take the drivers we've got now, whoopsie, what did I just do? Take the drivers we've got now and back them up. We'll never need to rely on the manufacturer to go through that again. So using my optimizer, which we sell, it's 20 bucks. The link's in the video notes below. You can use it as much as you want. We just ask you don't give it away to your friends. You can run it on your friends' computers, but take it with you when you leave. If your friends want it, encourage them to support us so we can continue being financed by our viewers instead of being financed by corporate America, where you can't believe anything. If somebody's being paid by a corporation, then that is biased information. So we're trying to be fair and impartial. We're trying by not letting money muddy the waters. And now we've got the drivers backed up, and that's on C:\drivers. So if we go here, under the C drive, we should have a drivers folder. How big is that folder? Oops, didn't mean to do that. Right click on drivers, properties. Yeah, it's less than 4 gigs. That's pretty decent. And then I will just sort all this by name because it's cluttery. It's backwards now. I need to sort it again and go the other direction with the alphabet. That's better. Okay. Let's do a restart here. Let's make sure it doesn't freeze up like it did after installing the video driver. That was weird. Let's make sure this works like it's supposed to. Before we go any further. Otherwise, we could be wasting our time. So we'll give it a second here to power down, and there is the right delay. That's perfect. If anything, it was faster than I expected. And then here is your boot time to the desktop. This thing has been really quiet. In the rare occasion I've heard the fan, it's really because I was really listening for it. It's very quiet. I would say it looks and performs in every way, shape, and form like the Ace Magic M1 that we were looking at. I think it was the M1. And the Good Tico, I think, is also the same internally. And we could have potentially just gone to the Good Tico driver page. But Good Tico doesn't have a website or a driver page, so that won't work either. But look at the price we paid. You know, it needs a little more refinement. And we will tell Firebat, hey, your downloads page is wrong. Your serial I/O driver doesn't work. The CH341 file doesn't belong in there at all. And all these other files that you've got, we don't need them. We just need those 6 on a clean Windows 11 install. And that's all those drivers are supposed to be for. They're not for Linux. They're not for Windows 10. That's a Windows 11 download folder. So why are they including the stuff that doesn't work? Somebody didn't do any quality controls. Why? No one verified. We might be the first people ever to verify and to tell them. Now, what they do with that information, you know, they might dismiss it. Or maybe they'll say thank you and fix it. But regardless, as long as you're watching my channel, you don't have to worry about what they do. I just showed you. You don't need to depend on them. But if they wanted a 5-star rating from me, they got to make that work. So the hardware, much like B-Link, the hardware is good. The support side of things is screwed up. Still better than B-Link because at least we've got a support site that somewhat works, but it's still not right. I also didn't care for the way that they installed Windows. I didn't like that, but that's just my personal attitude. They're not necessarily doing universally something we could all agree on is wrong. It's just, if I'm spending my money, I want it my way, and I wish they didn't make any adjustment without my consent. Give me a clean Windows install with your drivers and no other modifications. And if you can't do that, then disclose why. There should be a notice as soon as I open the package. We have modified a basic Windows 11 install. And if you don't like that, you'll have to do it yourself. Or do a basic Windows install and you don't have to put that disclaimer in there. Now, they don't have to put it in, but for full transparency, clarity, and to set expectations with your customer, any modification away from the default should be identified immediately, conspicuous, obvious, come clean. Otherwise, you're just inviting more support calls to your office, which is costing you more money, more emails, more employees to answer the same questions over and over again that could have been resolved out of the box, at least in American culture. Now, maybe in other countries, they don't behave that way, but here in America, if you want to sell here, you should get to know what the culture expects if you want to have a smooth experience and a happy and returning customer to buy more. Firebat is close. They're very close. They're not quite there on the support side. On the hardware side, everything looked good so far, but until we get to part 2 and open it up, maybe I'll change my mind. But from what I'm seeing and what I've experienced today, I would have no problem recommending this to my business clients who want Intel mid-range PCs at a $400 or under a $500 budget. This easily clears that hurdle with money left over. And unfortunately, by the time we ordered it and we did the video, it's not on Amazon anymore. Now, if you want to play games and you're a home user, the AMD one for the same price is probably the better deal because you're the USB 4 and the internal graphics will be better for gaming. So don't be disappointed that this isn't available because it may be doing you a favor that this isn't the one that would be better for you, but it is the one better for my customers. Okay, so there's not a one-size-fits-all here. They're both the same price from the same company. and we'll use completely different drivers. So who knows what that one's set up like. Maybe we go and buy it and check it. I don't know. We don't have the budget for it right now, but if we get contributions that come in, if you want to see us do that. And then on top of that, if we sold this one and used the money that we lose, because we can't sell it for new, right? To help offset the cost of buying the AMD one, let us know if you want to see us do it, because I'm eager. It's going to be a very different driver scenario. And for all we know, maybe we download the drivers from Firebat and they're all right. Versus maybe it's just this one model they screwed up on. It's the only model I've ever looked at. So my assumption is if they did it to this one, they probably did it to all of them. But maybe that's the roll of the dice. Oystein said, well done, Carey, another successful review and installation. Thank you, Oystein. Thanks for being a member here and supporting us. And your friendship as well, of course. Andy says, I agree, they should not be messing with the Windows 11 install. I am picky and intolerant. I think that's worthy of bragging. I am picky and intolerant. I have, what's the word? Boy, that's pretty bad when I... Hold on, it's coming to me. My brain's working right now. It's being Google trying to find the word I'm looking for. Standards. I have standards, and I will not sink below those standards. I don't see that as being anything to be ashamed of. Katrina H. joins us and says hello. David mentioned my picture earlier was hiding results. Oh, I apologize. You know, no matter where I move the screen, it's going to block something. Not much I can do. Every time I move it into a different corner, then something appears in that corner. You know what I mean? So then I can turn the camera off entirely, but then I want to show something and I forget the camera's off, and then you don't see that. So until I work out a system, doing the best I can, being my own producer, I don't get to see what you guys see very often. When I'm full screen looking at the desktop, I can't see the chat room, I can't see anything else. So I apologize for that, but that's kind of par for the course here, unfortunately. But hopefully there wasn't anything that, you know, I told you what it said, even if you didn't see it, right? I told you this is the result. I'll try and do better with that. W3VOC says, let's have fun and install OpenClaw. Well, you can install OpenClaw. I don't have any interest in it. I'll let people like you do that. And then when you're done putting all the time and effort in, then I'll just download your projects. I'm not a developer. I'm not going to make a website for fun. I'm not going to code programming for, you know, an AI agent where AI is still developing and it still has a long way to go, to just see what we can do with it today just because we have nothing else to do. If I could pay the bills that way, I would, but otherwise, I'll let the hobbyists and enthusiasts have their fun. And their end results will probably be something on GitHub or something that if it's of interest, I'll just download it and run it the same as I wouldn't design my own word processor. You know, I'll just use Microsoft Word or Google Write. I'm not going to start from zero because it's fun to write a word processor. You might think it's fun. I think it's a day in hell. If it was only a day, it's an endless hell that never ends, working out all the bugs and all the feature improvements and bells and whistles. It's already been made. Just use what's made. But if you want to do that and let us know your results and your thoughts, we'd love to hear from your own personal experience. And you're welcome to share that with us in a chat room, in the comments, or to send us an email. Our email address, I'll put it right up here on the screen if you ever want to reach out. We love hearing from you guys. You're not bothering us. Don't think I don't want to bother them. You're not. As long as you want to talk about something you're personally experiencing, not your friends, not something you read online, and not a video. I don't want to see other people's videos unless you made it or it's your particular issue with your computer, something you're dealing with. We will help you. but we're not going to help you help someone else. That someone else is welcome to email us, and we will help them. And you can tell them that. And I don't care if it's another content creator. I don't care if it's a Reddit forum thread. I'm not interested unless they come to me. I'm not running around asking people, can I work for you for free? But if you're a viewer here and you would like some help with something, we will work for you for free to a certain level to help you help yourself. And with that, just reach out through email with our email address here. And there might be a video or a link or a Reddit forum we point you to that has the answers you're looking for, or we might spell it all out, but we don't mind either way. But we don't just do that for anybody. We do that for our viewers. And of course, if you're a paying member, if you're in green, you get priority. You know, we'll bend over backwards as much as we can, but we will answer everybody. Thank you to Mara for all the work she does. How about that thumbnail today, huh? She makes our thumbnails from scratch. She does our video descriptions. She answers and responds to all of our emails from both potential manufacturers that we might be working with to our viewers. And just a ton of other responsibilities that she has that keeps her busy and keeps me freed up so I can focus on being on this side of the camera and doing this work, because I was losing my mind trying to do it all. I might have lost it about a couple of years back, but I feel a lot better. Even if I don't have it anymore, without my mind, I'm still feeling better getting that additional workload off my shoulders. So that's why we encourage the email now, because we now have the ability to respond to it. And it's not just adding more to me, which was really starting to take a toll. So, you know, thank you to all of you for even making these videos possible. Without our members, this video would not have happened. So hopefully you'll join us in part 2. I'll try and get that on Tuesday. I think I'm available Tuesday. And we'll just do another public live video on Tuesday. And then hopefully we'll get Frankie's computer in sometime Tuesday, and we'll schedule that members only on Wednesday. And if everything's clean, as far as like any private information or anything like that, if all of that's clean, we'll go ahead and make it public immediately afterwards. But if there's anything we have to blur or censor out of it in order to keep Frankie's information private, we'll do that first and edit that out and then publish it publicly. Brian says, Carey, I notice every minute or so your stream keeps freezing. Does anybody else see my stream freezing? Or no? If it's just you, then you likely need to clear out some cache, lower your resolution. If you're trying to air this at 4K, go to the bottom right corner, choose your resolution to be 1080, and see if that solves it. It might be just your bandwidth can't keep up with the amount of 4K data. It's 4 times more data at 4K than 1080. So yeah, people in the chat room are saying they're not seeing it. So it's got to be on your side. And the first thing I would check is video resolution, get it out of 4K. It does require a lot of bandwidth to be at 4K for you to see this in 4K. And there's no advantage to the 4K. Just drop it to 1080. If you're already in 1080, then maybe restart your computer or clear out the cache of your browser, or use a different browser just to verify, you know, whether or not it's a browser-related pause or if it's a internet speed-related pause. Bajan Guy said, stream is fine. I've been watching from the start. No problems. Frank Jimmy says no problems. Alex says no problems. Mark says no problems. Patrick and Big Game James and Eddie Casanova and Mark Leibowitz say everything's fine. So if I was there and I could adjust it for you, I would. But it's nothing I can adjust. You have to do it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us for today. Thank you for everybody hanging out and joining us. Thank you, as always, to our friend Buster, who sends an Amazon gift card prior to the show starting, as he always does. And hopefully he's doing well. It's very late at night there in Scotland, so I'm sure he's asleep, and we'll see this tomorrow. And I just want to check email and make sure I haven't missed anything. I think we're caught up. Watch for part 2 for preferably on Tuesday. Frankie on Wednesday. I don't have anything. I'll try and take Thursday off. I try and take Saturday off. I try. Lately, I haven't needed to try because we've been a little scant on the work. But we have 5 other mini PCs from AOStar and GMK Tech and others to look at. So we've got some content lined up for you. And in the meantime, if other repairs, upgrades, or tech support questions come in, it's more content. So bring it on. I had a client call me Friday who said that their computer was on, but it wasn't making any noise or vibrating or anything. Like they're holding the case, and it's like the light's on, but it's not on. And the monitor's just blank. But the monitor also, they said it didn't have a power light on. This machine hasn't been moved. It hasn't been touched. It's been running great. And all of a sudden, for no apparent reason, it appears the monitor has died, or the machine isn't kicking out video. So I went into the remote software, because this is one of my managed clients, and I can see the computer online. I can connect to it, and the desktop is there. So I said, you know, the computer's just really quiet. It's on. Even though you're not feeling or hearing the fans running, it's just because I built it that good. So I said, check the plug in the back of the monitor, both the HDMI and the power. Unplug them and plug them back in. And go to the opposite end of each of those cables and unplug them and plug them back in. That means unplug it from the wall or the surge protector, the monitor, the other end of the power, and the other end of the HDMI. Unplug it from the computer, plug it back in. Still not working. I said, well, do you have another monitor? And they said, I'm sure we can scrounge a monitor up, but it won't be as nice as this one. And as they were explaining that, I guess they were kind of wiggling on the cables, and I heard beep. They go, wait a minute, the monitor's coming on. Your monitor beeps? Yeah, every time it turns on, it beeps, and it wasn't beeping before. Hold on a minute, because it's still not on. I'm pulling on the cable, beep. Hold on a minute, it just came on again and went off. Well, there's a power brick between the monitor, where this plugs into the back of the monitor, and where this plugs into the wall. And this plug was loose. So even though I was on the right path by having them unplug, I didn't realize their monitor had a separate power brick. And when they were wiggling the cable, it was pulling on the power brick, and that was causing the main power line, which apparently was loose. So then the question is, well, how do you suppose that happened? Well, do you guys have cleaners that come into your office after hours and vacuum and empty the trash? Yes. Oh, maybe the cleaners bumped it with the vacuum cleaner and it was just enough to knock that cable. So they put me on hold. They get on the floor under the desk. They push this cable in real good. Problem solved. They can get back to work. Have a nice day. I said, well, thank you. I would have hated to drive for a half an hour to go to your location to push a cable in, only to get back in the car and drive for another half an hour back home. Jeez. So that was my most recent tech support issue that happened Friday. And turned out, you know, it was a little bit of a panic. I thought maybe we had the way the customer told it, the PC was powering on but nothing happening. Found out that wasn't the case. Then the monitor not coming on. Seems like, again, I've got to take the customer's word for everything. You got a bad monitor if it's not turning on. Have them check each end of the cable, but it's the middle that we didn't check because I didn't know there was a middle. And they just happened to Inspector Clouseau their way through that. And I'm okay with that because I do it too. Sometimes we just wiggle a cable for no apparent reason. I wonder if this does anything. And then it does. And you're like, hold on, I think I'm onto something. And it was a very simple, fast fix. That's why I say always try the simple things first. Don't immediately start researching, you know, for complex answers. Most of the tech support problems that I resolve, 90% of them are very simple or very obvious. Those other 10%, we will do the research we need to do when we've determined it's necessary, but we don't jump at that first. And Bajan guy says, nice patting yourself on the back. Hey, listen, if the customer tells me I can't tell if this is on because I can't hear it and there's no vibration like that the fans would be causing, therefore I think it's not working, that is a damn good build right there. That's all I'm going to say. Because that's got a CPU fan, a power supply fan, and a case fan, and they can't hear it at all. All they see is a green light. Otherwise, they have no indication it's on. That is a sign of a good quality build. And this is an i7 9700K, so it's no slouch of a computer. Mark Leibowitz said, some of the silliest, most irritating but simple tech support issues I deal with are blamed on cleaning people. Hey, Mark, I was connected to a customer's computer remotely the other day, a couple weeks ago. And I had the client on the phone, and the client was at home, and I was logged into the computer remotely. The client said, could you look at something on my computer? And I said, sure. Oh, I'm not at the office right now. Does that matter? No. And I log into it, and I'm just staring at the screen, and I'm focused on the conversation. And I notice the mouse moving. Well, I'm not touching it, and you're at home. I said, is somebody else at the office? And they say, no, nobody's at the office. We're closed. I said, somebody's in your office because the mouse is moving. It doesn't seem to be clicking on anything. It's like moving around. Oh, that's probably our cleaning people. Then I wish I could turn on the web camera and see what the hell they were doing. Maybe they were moving the mouse so they could dust it, or maybe they were cleaning it. Freaked me out because nothing was being clicked on. It was just the mouse was moving all over. What are the odds? The time I'm remoting in and the maybe half hour of time the cleaners are there, that overlapped each other at the same time. Well, I've got the customer on the phone. Either that or they've got ghosts. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back tomorrow for members only on Monday. Tomorrow is Monday. And we start at 1 o'clock. That's for everybody in green. It's a benefit of membership. There are these exclusive videos that are never made public on Mondays. And just a little hangout session for friends of the channel. We can all hang out together. Very informal. And then, of course, there's some unique content, exclusive content. Sometimes it's not a big deal. Other times it could be a diagnosis or repair. I don't say, because I really want people to support us. Please support us. And then Tuesday, part 2, Wednesday, Frankie. That's the plan right now. Thursday, nothing. Friday, maybe we'll start over with a part 1 of something else. We'll see what happens between now and then. Who knows? Maybe with Frankie, we end up doing a part 2 on that one. So we'll leave Friday open and adjustable to, flexible to whatever our needs are at that time. And of course, if you have questions or you want to reach out for any ideas for other machines you'd like to see us review, if we can afford to pay for them, you know, I'm looking pretty much in the $400 range or less if it's bare bones. We appreciate the suggestions. So until tomorrow for our members, thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And until then, bye for now.